Hey class, in this video we're going to be going over publishing our projects on itch.io. So in the previous lab we created builds for the web and different platforms, and in this lab we'll go to Itch and create an account and make a page for our project. So it's pretty straightforward. We're just going to be kind of filling out the Itch page and adding a few things here, and then we're going to take a look at the page and then publish it. One thing to note is that you have to actually preview the page and then go back and make it public. Otherwise, your link is not going to work. So just keep that in mind that once you create the project and then preview the page, you still have to go back and click on the public button and save that for your link to be accessible to other people. So once you have that link with the working project, you can post the link on OpenLab, and you could also post it on Discord for other people to check out the game. So let's get started. So to get started with publishing on itch.io, obviously we're going to want to go to the itch.io website. If you don't have an account, you can click register here, and it's pretty easy to sign up. You can go through creating an account, and you can use Google or other platforms to sign in, or you can just use your email. So I already have an account. I'm just going to log in, but if you have any issues with creating an account, let me know and we can go over it on Discord. So I'm going to go to login and just log into my BMCC account. And so this is what your dashboard is going to look like. You can see I have a bunch of stuff from earlier projects that I've worked on. I'm going to go to upload a new project to start creating my new project. So I'll go to upload a new project. And so there's a bunch of different things that I have to fill in here. It's all pretty straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and open up my project. So I'm going to go to my MMP 270 folder and go to this designer lab. This is the copy that I made to create my builds. And so I'm going to use a few different things in here, like some of the art I created, as well as the builds that I have. So the first thing that we want to do is just fill in the title of the game, obviously, and then we can change the project URL. So you might want to have it be the game. You might want to have it as like a abbreviation of the game, depending on how long your game name is. But whatever you're using for the game is fine. Then you can have a short tagline. I'm not going to do this, but you guys can fill that in to describe the game that you're using. And then we want to classify the game. So there are options to say, you know, this is just music. This is just some software. These are different things that you could use, like game assets or something like that. So I am uploading a game. If you decided, you know, you didn't want to make a game, but you made lots of sound effects or something like that, you could actually do that as you're publishing. You could publish some game assets if you were interested in doing that. So then the type of project. So I have a web build, so I'm going to choose HTML, but you can include other builds in there as well. You can also say if it's downloadable or other components like that. So I'm going to set this to HTML, and then the release status, I'm just going to say in development. It doesn't really matter for the class what you want to put here. So then for pricing, I'm just going to put no payments here. If you want to do pricing, you have to set it up with your credit card, and we're not really going to do that in this class, but if that's something you're interested in, you could explore that. So then we get to the main part. Here's the uploads. And so we want to upload our web build and any other builds that we might want to include. So that's easy to do. I'm just going to click on upload files. Notice they tell you here there must be an index.html in your file in the zip. So we did this in the last lab, but if you have a web build, when you first export it, your HTML file is probably not going to be called index.html. It's probably going to be called something based on the name of your game. So you're going to just have to change that, whatever it is, to index.html, and just make sure it's a lowercase I. It's very specific for the web. So if you have that, you can go to upload files, and let's go to our project and go to builds. And I'm just going to choose my web build here and click open. And so it's saying I already have a game on my account with this URL. So obviously I was testing this. So let's change this one. Let's call this my game fall 2021. And let's try that again. So I'm going to go to upload files, go to web, click open. And now what I want to do here is this is the web one. And so I want to click this file will be played in the browser. So we want to make sure that that goes along with our web build. If you want to add other builds, you can do that. So I can go and I can add my Mac build and it will upload that. And then I just have to tell it which type it is. So it's an executable and there's the Apple icon. So I'm just going to choose that. So people know when they try to download it, they're not downloading something for Mac that's actually intended for Windows. You can see there's also Windows, Linux is the penguin guy, and then Android is this icon over here. We've got that set up. Now we can go to the embed options, and this obviously only applies to the web build. So we want to embed in page, that's fine. We could do click to launch in full screen. And then we want to manually set the size. And so we want to set the size here to what is set in Godot. So that's 1024 by 512. So that way we know that the game window is going to fit into what we see on the screen. And so there's a few other options. I'm not going to choose mobile friendly because I haven't done anything to support mobile. I'm not going to choose automatically start on page load. Full screen button, you might want to use that, but I think all of these options I can leave. Then there's some details. This is where in the next lab for user testing, we're going to add our form in here. I'm just going to put a little message here and say, hi, this is my game. Please try it out and post your feedback. So, we're still in the process of working on these games. This isn't a final product. So we do want to kind of indicate that to people. So they will say, oh, okay, like I'll play this and maybe I'll leave some comments or something like that. So then we can choose the genre. There's a lot of choices on here. I think the closest one for what I built is platformer. If you did something else that's more like RPG or something like that, you can choose the genre. And then you can add as many tags as you want. There's a bunch of suggestions. Some of them actually apply, like pixel art or 2D. And you could also probably add Godot if you wanted to say, I built this in Godot. You can add whatever you want on these tags, and that will help itch.io, recommend the game to other people. If you want to set a noun for the game, if you want to call it a story or if you want to call it an experience, you can do that, but the default is just game. Download and install instructions if there's anything specific that people have to know to play the game. I don't think we need to do anything here because we're going to be creating some pretty basic different types of builds. So now you can set the community options. You can disable comments or allow comments or add a discussion board if you want. I'm just going to leave comments there. And then visibility and access. So this is going to be a draft. You can't make it public until you've previewed it. So notice that public isn't an option. So when I click save and view page, I actually have to view the page and then come back to make it public. So if you just view the page and then you send a link, it's not going to work until you make it public for other people to see. There is one option that we forgot up here, which is that we can add a cover image. You might want to spend a lot of time like building a really cool cover image for your itch page. I'm not going to do that right now, but you could do that. I am just going to grab one of my UI titles. And so I'm going to use this graphic and click open. You could also make a video and put it on Vimeo or YouTube and show how the game looks in the video. And you can also add more screenshots if you want to. We obviously have a lot of documentation on the Open Lab, so you could go back and get some of those images if you want to add some screenshots. But I'm going to leave that alone for now. I'm going to go to save and view page. And so this is going to load up the game. And so this is what it'll look like when I click run game. Hopefully this will work okay. If you have some errors, we could go through and figure out how to get it to work. So we can actually edit the theme of this page, which is different from the edit page that we were just on. If I go to edit theme, I can do things like change the color, change the font. So there's a few options here if you want to make your page look a little more cool. I don't really care all that much. You could make the background color black if you think that'll go along better for the game. Maybe the text is going to be white then. And you could change the link color, maybe something to match the player, something like that. And there's some more options. You can play around with that. Maybe I'll use the pixel font since it's a pixel game. You can play around with these different options. Not super important, but just in case you want to, you can also add images into the background in the banner. So there's a bunch of options here if you want to change the way that the game looks. Once you've done all that, you do still have to go back to edit game, or you can also click on back on draft, and that'll bring you back here. So now that we've looked at the page, we can go back and now we have this public option. So now we can click save, and now the page will actually work. So if we go to view page, we have a link here. And just to demonstrate, I'll open this up in an incognito window. So now we can see the game will run in anybody's computer. That's really all I have to do. There's a lot of other options on your Itch account. So now that we've got all this working, let's just post our link on the Open Lab. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over to the Open Lab. And you should also put it on Discord so people can take a look at it there. And so I'm going to go to new post, and I'm going to go to categories and look for publishing. There's publishing, and we'll say my game on itch.io. And really all you have to do is put a link here. So if you want to write more about the process or what you put on there, you can do that. But really we just want a link to the game so we can go check it out. So here's a link to my game on itch.io. And so I can grab the my game text and paste in this link. I want to open it in a new tab probably and just click enter. And this should work. Let's preview it. And so if you click on my game, that'll bring us to the Itch page. And then you can either run the game in the browser or you can download the Mac build, or if you add a Windows build. So that's everything for this lab. So I'm just going to go ahead and publish.